Hey guys, welcome back to Maker's Corner. With 3D Printopia less than a week away, I thought now would be a great time to show you guys how you can make your very own maker chips. Now, these things are pretty ubiquitous at any 3D printing convention or event, and thanks to the amazing K2 Kevin, well, he's made it pretty simple for us, but I want to show you guys exactly how to use his files to make your own chips. So if you're ready, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download the 3MF files from MakerWorld, and I will leave this link down in the description. Once we have that, we can go ahead and open it up in Bamboo Studio. Now, I am using the 3MF file because I have multiple versions of Bamboo Studio installed, and I don't want it opening the wrong one, but if you only have one version, then go ahead and just hit open. So once we do that, we'll be greeted by all these different designs, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit preview because the prepare window kind of gets a little funky looking, so we'll go ahead and hit preview so that we can see exactly what these chips look like. Okay, with the slicing complete, we now have 21 different designs here. Me personally, I kind of like the very bottom right one, so that's one that we're going to go with. I'm going to jump back to my prepare, and I'm just going to select and delete all of these ones that we don't need. Okay, so we now have our one single coin that we want. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come back up here, and I'm going to select my actual printer. It's going to ask me if I want to transfer everything over. Yes, I do. Yep, transfer all that stuff over. Now we're good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resync my colors. And if it asks me, yep, I'm going to transfer everything over again. Alright, so I've got my currently loaded colors, my black, orange, white, and blue. This will be different depending on what you choose to use in your AMS for your colors on your own personal chip. So, the next thing I want to do is prepare my logo. Now for this, you could technically use an SVG file within Bamboo Studio, but I've always found it to be a little wonky. So I'm going to go ahead and find my... It's in here somewhere. Oh, guess it helps if I go to the right folder. I'm going to go ahead and find the SVG file for the Maker's Corner logo. There it is. And I'm going to import it into Tinkercad. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want an STL file of my logo, so we'll import the SVG into Tinkercad, and we'll just do a little quick modification to it here. I'm going to just shrink it down. I could do this in the Bamboo Lab Studio, but I'll go ahead and just get it done right here, as long as we're already in Tinkercad. I'm going to shrink it down to 0.8 millimeters. I'm going to maybe give it a slightly more recognizable name, logo. Okay, and then we'll go on ahead and click on export as STL. We'll hit save, and now we can go back to our Bamboo Lab Studio, where we will now drag in that STL file we just made of our logo. And there we go. As we can see, it's a wee bit on the large side, and it's the wrong color, or at least the wrong color for me. So I'm going to change it to white. Now, we're going to right-click on that and hit center. I'm going to right-click on our coin here and also hit center so that everything is, well, centered. Although, what you will notice here on my logo is the way I've got it proportioned, it's actually not really centered yet, but we'll go ahead and fix that here in just a moment. Something else we're going to need to fix, however, before we do any of that, is we need to flip our logo over so that it's upside down. This will be very important because when it prints, you want it to be the right side up. So just go ahead and flip it upside down, make it reversed, and now we'll go ahead and recenter it. I'm going to flip this around, and this is the part where we are going to start scaling our logo. You could technically also do this in Tinkercad as well, but it gets a little wonky, and it's a lot easier just to do it right here within the slicer. I'm going to shrink it down until it looks pretty decent. It can be a little hard. You're going to have to move the coin around to get everything to show properly, but I think that looks pretty good. I'm also going to try and center this as best I can. I'm going to now uncheck uniform scale and bring our z-axis back to 0.8. And now we'll go ahead and hit slice plate and see what it looks like. Realistically, I could probably scooch this over a little bit to the left, but for the intents and purposes of this example, I think that looks pretty darn good. So once we're happy with where our logo is and how it looks, we're going to come to the Objects tab. And we're going to take the border slices here. We're going to Control click on our logo, right click, and go to Assemble. Now when we slice our plates, you're going to notice it's going to look a little bit different. Our logo now looks significantly cleaner. That is exactly what we want. And if you're happy with it, well then this side of the coin is done. We can now move on to the back side where we're going to put our QR code. But before we get to that QR code, there is one other thing I would like to talk to you guys about, and it is actually 3D Printopia. See, I want this year to be a little bit different. I don't want to just be asking my questions when I'm interviewing companies and brands. I want to ask your questions. So down in the description, there will be a link to a Google Forms page where you can submit your questions that you would like me to ask the brands on your behalf. If you don't feel like doing that, you can leave your questions down in the comments as well. I will be going through them, but if you use the Google Forms page, it will be a little bit easier for me to kind of go through and sort through all of your questions. Also, if you're enjoying this video, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out, and I appreciate each and every one of you that does so. Alright, enough side talk. Let's get back to those QR codes. Alright, so for the QR code, we're going to use a website called genqrcode.com, and of course I will leave this link down in the description as well. This is a very simple tool to use. We're going to quickly type in our website of choice. I'm going to use the best website out there. It is youtube.com/@makerscorner. Oops, how do I spell right? Makers Corner 93. We're going to click on generate QR code, and there we have it. There's our beautiful QR code that'll take us directly to the best YouTube channel there is on YouTube. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Now we're going to come down here and click on STL. It's going to ask us a few questions. Do you want it without the base or with the base? We want ours without the base, so go ahead and keep it there. We're going to set our QR code height to 0.8, and I'm going to set my image size to 40. I'm going to go ahead and click on download STL file, and we now have our QR code, so we can come back to the prepare tab, and we'll go ahead and drag our QR code into Bamboo Studio as well. Now, as we can see, we still have a little bit of scaling to do with this guy, but before we do that, I'm going to right click, change filament, go to our white filaments, because again, we want something that's nice and contrasty. When you're doing QR codes, the more contrast, the better. With that selected, I'm actually going to flip my coin upside down now so that my Maker's Corner logo is on top and our QR code is on the bottom. We're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to first make sure this is centered. It's grayed out, so it is. So we'll go over to our QR code and click on... Oops. Helps if I click the right buttons. Apologies for that. We're going to go to our QR code and click on center. I'm going to flip this over, and now we can see our coin and our QR code are centered. So we're going to come over here to our scale tab, and we're going to just scale it down just a wee bit. We want our QR code to be as big as we can possibly make it, because the larger it is, the easier it is for your printer to actually recreate it in a way that will actually work. So that looks pretty darn good to me. I'm going to make sure that our height is locked at 0.8 millimeters. And now we can go ahead and click on our assembly and our QR code, right click and assemble. So now when we go to slice plate, it'll look all nice and correct, and there we have it. We've got our logo on one side and our QR code on the other. I could have done a slightly better job of centering the QR code, but you get the point. So now all we have to do is right click, and we can either clone or we can go to fill bet with copies. One thing I do like to do though before this is I do like to take my little purge block and I like to slide it over to the closest point to the actual purge chute, or at least the closest point that's out of the way. So because I'm on a Bamboo Lab P1S, I'm going to scooch it all the way to the top left corner, and then we'll go ahead and fill bed with copies. And there we have it. We now have, how many did we get? 30 copies. So we can go ahead and click on Slice Plate and see exactly how long this is going to take to create 30 copies of these wonderful coins. And there we have it. 9 hours and 1 minute, which for 30 coins really isn't that bad, especially considering all the filament changes we're going to have. One last thing to show you guys, however, is I'm not really crazy about the order of the orange and blue, so I'm going to come back to prepare. Let's go ahead and get rid of all these copies. I would actually really like the outside of my coin to be orange and the inside to be blue. And that's going to be super simple to do. We come over to our objects. We'll come to our assembly. Here's our orange. I'm going to go here, right click, change that to blue. And I'll take our outside slice, right click, and change that to orange. Now when I click on Slice Plate, we're going to notice that the colors have flipped, and that's exactly how you can change the colors of your coin. Now, something to keep in mind when printing these coins is that your first layer is always going to be the longest layer. I'm printing 25 coins here, and the first layer takes a little over 2 hours. So make sure your print bed is nice and clean, make sure it's perfectly level, because any failures on the first layer, especially after 2 hours, is really going to sting pretty bad. And assuming nothing went wrong during the printing process, we should be left with a nice full build plate of beautiful maker chips. Alright, one last thing, we need to test to make sure that our QR code does in fact work. So I'll go ahead and take my phone here. I see the QR code popped up, and when I click on it, there we go. Takes us straight to the Maker's Corner YouTube page. Alright, well that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. Maybe consider subscribing, and if you do, don't forget to hit that bell icon so you're notified next time I upload a video. Also, don't forget, if you happen to see me this coming weekend, Saturday, September 27th and 28th at 3D Printopia in Bel Air, Maryland, don't forget to say hi. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.